Well, the reason we called you tonight was we want to talk. Well, I mainly after hearing your episode with Toomey, not the one that posted yesterday, but the one before that when you guys were talking about Thrash. I had all this stuff that I was like, man, if I was there, I'd love to interject. And
in true Dan fashion.
Yep.
And if you have tinfoil on the knuckles because you're wearing a hockey jersey, then you are ready for this episode of Discography Discussion. I am Joe. That is Dan. That is Jeff. And this is Robb Rivera of Nonpoint.
How you doing?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. How are you tonight?
Good. That was a great intro.
Well, thank you. I've been working on my radio voice ever since I got sick.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's dropped an octave.
Yeah, we didn't put too much thought into it until we're sick and our voices, so we have to go above and beyond. We all just got done being sick, so.
I did too. We had the whole family had the whole norovirus or whatever the hell that thing is called, and
yes, the quote unquote stomach flu.
Oh my God, it was horrendous. I mean, my entire household were sick at the same time. So imagine we pretty much let the kids do whatever we want while me and my wife just laid around just drowning in our sorrows. We just could not. We could not function. Thank God for in-laws, but even they got sick.
Oh man!
I mean, my in-laws and then the four of us sick at the same time. That's never happened in my life.
Yeah, that's rough. I mean, my kids are. I got basically all my kids are under 4 years old. So with me and my wife being sick and them all being sick and nobody wanting to come to our house because they didn't want to get sick.
No, it was pretty awful, man. It's my son got it first, and then he spread it to his sister, then the wife, and then the in-laws, and I was the last one to get it. And I never get sick. This is the thing. I get sick maybe once a year. I never get sick, but when I do, forget it. I'm down.
Right.
Yeah, I feel you. I took a half day today because my oldest was homesick and my youngest was homesick earlier this week, and I actually missed work because I was sick. So
It never ends, man.
It's been a horrible year.
I mean, my son is 3, my daughter's 5. You know, they go to school. There's the exchanging of germs, and it's like so many these kids get sick so quickly. And I never thought. I mean, I've been home with them sick, and I never got it. And I was like, man, yeah, I won't get sick. I never get sick. Yeah, I was wrong.
Right. You're like, I'm the adult here. I've got the more advanced immune system. Yeah.
Yeah.
Only as advanced as the most recent form of the virus.
Right.
Yeah, it's amazing the new stuff that they'll bring home at the first time they go to preschool.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's guaranteed. The first 2 weeks they'd get sick.
Oh yeah, my son's been getting sick almost like clockwork, every 4 weeks, with throat infection, ear infection, strep, this and that. Oh my God, man, it's come on.
So he needs to start a black metal band, is what you're saying?
Probably, yes.
Yeah. He had the perfect throat for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of metal, which is what we usually talk about, we in regards to that thrash metal, the whole deal. Was that I just thought that it would be interesting we did an episode with Toomey a while back, earlier this year, where we talked all about new metal, and then we had a guy on called Clank that did an episode all about industrial, and so we were like, who are we going to get to talk about thrash metal as a genre? Now we don't have to we don't have to have a 5.5 hour discussion, which is what that genre would warrant. But
I'll talk for as long as you want me to, man.
That's cool.
All right, so
I don't know if I got 5 hours in me, but yeah, we'll see. What's the longest we've gone, Joe? Is it 4 hours before?
You don't want to know, because then we'll set a goal, and then I have to edit it later.
It's got to be the Travis Turner episode.
Oh,
would be my guess.
man. We talked for, I believe, 4.5 hours at one point. Because the Scott Mellinger episode was a little over 3.
Oh, I don't remember that, though. I was completely drunk, so
yeah,
no clue on that one.
Yeah, you start off with a beer or two, and you're like, this is no big deal, and then it's 3 hours later, and you're like, holy shit, what have we been talking about this whole time?
Oh, that's right, black metal.
Right.
We're not talking about black metal.
Well, it was interesting. I was talking to a buddy of mine the other day, and I was like, yeah, you know, we're going to be talking to Rob from Nonpoint, and he's like, oh, what are you guys going to talk about? And I was like, well, probably Thrash. And he's like, really? And I was like, yeah, dude. He's like, I wouldn't have thought that. I was like, well, you need to listen to more podcasts.
I get that a lot. And a lot of the elitists question my thrash knowledge.
Your metalness.
Yeah, so I mean, it is what it is, but thrash is what the first thing I started listening to. You know, I've been listening to thrash since I was 16 years old, and I was just talking to my buddy Sean Glass, who used to be a guitar player in Soil.
Okay.
And that guy's knowledge in thrash is ridiculous. And when we toured back together back in the day, he had no idea that I knew about all this stuff. He said, dude, I wish I'd known that we would have hung out more, you know, like, and we text every day about music. You know, we talk, he's constantly turning me on to new thrash bands, and we've talked about, I mean, it's not surprising when that person that you said that I was an odd choice, because it's not surprising because people don't expect the drummer from an active rock band know so much about thrash, you know, and I don't care. I mean, it's like it doesn't bother me, man. I just love what I love, you know.
Yeah, well, and because we talk about metal so much on the show, like we get hit with a lot of assholes. Like we did an episode, because like we talk about metal, but we have no problem talking about bands like Korn and Deftones and Nonpoint, and you know, bands that are more of the rock or what elitists wouldn't consider metal. Although it's weird because, shit, I mean, I listened to Nonpoint when I was in high school a lot, and I didn't consider it to be too. Not. But no, but I never considered it to be like not heavy or not. You know, like I just try not to think of it like that. It's kind of become, as I've gotten older, just being kind of like, do I like this? Yeah. Is it heavy? Yeah. Awesome. You know, and that's it.
I mean, we got through into the new metal thing, I guess, because of the time frame that we came out, and we had a singer, you know, that had, you know, my singer basically comes from a hip hop background. He has no metal background whatsoever, and he's got more of a classic rock and hip hop background. So we got thrown into this thing because he was rapping, but the guy could also scream and he can sing, you know. So it was just weird because all the bands we get lumped in with, like I never really listened to, you know. I'll tell you why, I do enjoy that first Korn record though.
Absolutely.
The first Korn record is when that came out. There was nothing out there like that. You know, it was a completely different genre. What was born right there, you know. So I didn't know it was called new metal. It's just, to me, it just sounded new. You know, sounded like a new band doing something completely original. You know, so
yeah, nobody called it new metal back at that time. I remember people saying like groove metal. You know, like people didn't. It was something new, so people didn't know how to make heads or tails of it. You know,
it's like Pantera got put into this power groove category. I just thought they were a metal band with thrash, you know, influences. And,
right. Yeah.
And, you know, they had power metal stuff, you know, because Phil on that Cowboys from Hell record, he was doing that kind of screaming. You know, he wasn't doing the heavy growling yet until like that next record,
Vulgar Display
Power, where they were just brutal on that record.
You ever heard the power metal record that they put out in the late 80s, right before Cowboys?
I actually have that. I have when I first heard Pantera, see, that's the thing. You're going to hear a lot. People are going to be shocked. You know, I heard Pantera before Phil was even in the band.
Well, that was his first record.
Puerto Rico, I had the Projects in the Jungle album, which I have it downstairs still on vinyl. So
that's awesome.
Wow.
And then there was that guy that played in this band, Lord Tracy, afterwards. Terry Glaze, I think his name was the original singer. So, I mean, I heard Pantera before they were even huge to what people know them today.
Right. And almost sounds like almost a totally different band.
Yeah, it had a Van Halen-esque, like, I guess, hair metal type thing, but it was still like the power metal record. I think that's the first one Phil sang on, right?
Yeah, and actually, to me, in my opinion, that's probably one of Phil's best vocals because it's so unexpected. You know, because if you started off with Vulgar Display and you're like, oh, what's this power metal record you put it in? It's like, you're like, God damn, this guy is versatile.
Oh, he has an incredible voice, man. Like his versatility, especially on Cowboys from Hell, it really came out, the versatility of his voice, you know. And that's when I first saw them on tour, was on that record. Well, the only time I actually saw him.
So let's say you're 16 and you're listening to, what are you listening to, cassettes at that point or vinyl?
16, I mean, I still had vinyl, and I was listening to a lot of tapes. Yeah, I had a lot of cassettes, man. I had a lot of demos from a lot of bands, you know, and demos was huge. Like the demo cassette was a big thing back then. And I had tons of demos from all kinds of unknown bands. But yeah, at 16, I would say I was more into probably cassettes back around that time.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say at 16 I was albums, cassettes, and I just started buying CDs.
I think I still had my vinyl, but I mean, cassettes just seemed to be more, take up less space.
Right? Yeah, well, especially when you're 16, you could pop it in the car and take it with you.
Yeah, you had your little Walkman, you know, when you walked around, you know, and it sucks you when that battery died, boy.
Yeah, you start hearing the track slow down. You're like,
you heard the song going slower and slower and slower. It's like, oh shit. You know?
I guarantee you, there's like half our listeners don't even know what the hell we're talking about.
That's probably why
not, but it's okay.
That's probably why I like doom metal so much. Yeah, that's slow.
I do enjoy some doom as well.
Yeah,
nice.
Well, that's next time.
One of my favorite doom metal bands is actually Cathedral.
Cathedral's awesome.
And Solitude Aeternus, I also log too. So
those are awesome.
If you ever heard of them? So
yeah, no, we have. I'm really into doom metal. We did we talked about Swallow the Sun pretty recently.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah,
and then never followed the genre a lot, but Cathedral I enjoyed, and I actually started listening to him because Lee Dorian was singing for them.
Yeah.
And I was just curious how he went from Napalm Death, how he's going to sound in Cathedral.
Right.
And it was a complete, very Sabbathy type vibe, and if I remember correctly, I haven't listened to Cathedral in a long time, but it had like a 70s type production.
Yeah, it sounded cool. It was really heavy for having that production too, like very Sabbathy.
Yeah, good stuff.
So what was your first thrash metal band that just really put it on the map for you?
Well, my first exposure, I was living in Puerto Rico at the time, and on Monday nights they had a metal show. They would play Dio and Iron Maiden and all that stuff. And on this specific Monday, the two records that I guess quote unquote thrash or speed metal records I heard was Kill 'Em All by Metallica and Exciter's Violence and Force. And when Hit the Lights came on, I was like, holy shit, what is this? Like, I'd never heard anything that fast. I think the fastest I'd ever heard anything, I think at that time, was Motorhead. Yeah. And when Metallica is my band. That's the band that completely converted me into a thrash metal genre. So they played both records in its entirety.
So they played Kill 'Em All and...
Yeah, they played Kill 'Em All from front to back, and then they played Exciter's Violence and Force front to back.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
So I heard those two. Those were my first introduction to thrash metal. The very next day, I went out and I bought those albums. And at that time, Ride the Lightning was actually out. I didn't know that Ride the Lightning even existed at that time. So I got the first two Metallica albums and the Exciter album, and I think I saw a Manowar record.
Oh, wow.
Or something. And I think it was Into Glory Ride or something. I bought that one. So I went home with 4 pretty much classics. I mean, I could have done without the cover of Manowar. They were dressed in the loincloths and stuff.
Right, yeah.
But they look so cool and tough,
Sure.
And I read the back then titles and covers was like huge. I could definitely tell by the cover of an album, this was probably going to be cool, so.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because, like, a lot of the time, like, my bag right now in 2017 is usually, like, techie death metal. Yeah. And a lot of the time, I can tell just by looking at the cover, and sometimes I'm wrong, but I can usually tell just by looking at the cover if it's going to be up my alley or not.
I mean, when I bought Iron Maiden's Number of the Beast, that cover... Yeah, I saw the thing, with the devil. I'm like, oh, this has got to be awesome.
Yep. Yep.
And I did. I took a gamble on it. And then, lo and behold, a couple of days later, they played the Number of the Beast video on MTV. I'm sure listeners don't even know what that is either.
Right.
Yeah.
What, MTV or the music video?
Is that the station that has reality shows on it now? Yeah.
Well, it has those reruns of Boy Meets World all the time.
Oh, right.
Yeah, like 16 and Pregnant or something, whatever the hell they're called, whatever that shit's called these days. But Yeah, so that was my introduction to thrash. It was Metallica's Kill 'Em All and Exciters, Violence, and Force. And I actually was thinking about this today because I want to make sure I had the right answer.
Right, there you go.
Because you knew the question was coming.
Yeah, pretty much, but yeah, that was my first introduction. I just got hooked ever since, man. I've just been listening to thrash ever
There was
since.
a radio station that was playing that cover to cover?
Yes, it was at 10
Wow.
o'clock at night. It was a Monday night metal show that they had in Puerto Rico. So
that's very cool.
Every week they played, different bands on the show, but for some reason on this day they played two entire albums. And I think they kept going that. I think that became very popular when they did that. It was really cool. In Puerto Rico, metal was like very religious. People loved metal down there.
Yeah.
So, people would be eager, like if you're in the car or whatever, people were listening to that show. So it was really cool. Sadly, it's not around anymore, but it was a great time, and it was for guys like me, we were trying to find something different. We're trying to find a different outlet. And that station introduced us to this whole new world, and thrash was born in Puerto Rico, basically, and it was awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool. I could see myself at that age, if I knew that they were going to do that. Dude, I would have a blank cassette in the player immediately.
Yeah,
wait for him to cue that up.
And I became a huge fan of radio shows. Like when I lived in Boston, it was a radio show. That's where I heard Pantera. I didn't even know Pantera was a band.
Right.
And they played Cemetery Gates, and he said, "Oh, this is Pantera with Cemetery Gates." I hadn't heard of Pantera in a few years. I'm like, Pantera? He says, and then he played Cemetery Gates. I was like, God, that doesn't sound anything like the Pantera I remember.
It's got to be a different band, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a different band, and then they were coming a week later. They came with Exodus and Suicidal Tendencies. And I went to the show, and I'm like, holy shit, this is a Pantera. That's that Diamond Daryl.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was Dimebag at that time.
The world famous.
And one of the best shows I've probably ever seen in my life.
It sounds good, man. Suicidal Tendencies, Exodus. I've got such a huge soft spot for Exodus.
I just went to see Exodus with Obituary about a month ago.
Oh, my God, that sounds awesome.
Man, they crushed it. Toxic Waltz, when they played Toxic Waltz, that place erupted into violence.
Oh, I bet.
Oh, man, it was amazing. And you know what's really killer about these thrash bands is they're still here. They're still putting out quality music, which is mind-blowing after all these years. That last Exodus album, Blood In, Blood Out, is amazing.
It was heavy, too, and I think that's the big thing about thrash metal, not like modern thrash metal, is that, or even the old school stuff. I have a lot of people always tell me that, I don't really like thrash because it's not as heavy like death metal or hardcore or whatever. And I'm always like, dude, if you listen to those bands play those songs now with modern equipment and setup, dude, they'll blow everyone out of the water.
Yeah, I really wish a lot of those bands, Testament did it. They re-recorded a lot of their. They had that record called First Strike is Deadly, I think, and it was all re-recordings from the first two albums with the modern production at that time, and it sounded great. I wish all those bands would re-record all those records now, because the production now these days, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, you can really hear that too. Like I've got Testament's Brotherhood of the Snake, and that is, oh my God,
album.
Yeah.
Andy Sneap, I think Andy Sneap produced that one.
Yeah, yeah.
And Andy Sneap, that guy's just a tone master, dude.
Absolutely.
That dude is just crushing. He just did the new Judas Priest too, which I'm excited to hear.
Oh yeah, that'll be awesome.
Cannot wait for that.
We're talking about them next month, so yeah.
Awesome.
We one of the cool things about Testament especially too was that and I think Toomey said this already, but I'm going to say it anyway because I feel the same way about it. I always felt like Testament was like following me in my musical tastes over the course of my life, in the sense of like they start off with thrash when it was popular, and as I got into heavier bands, Testament started getting progressively heavier as well.
Yeah, that Demonic record is pretty damn heavy.
Yeah, it is. And that was what was. I remember thinking that was crazy whenever I heard that, because I was like, holy shit, these guys were standard on the first album.
Dave Lombardo played drums on that album.
Yeah.
And they have Steve, I think DiGiorgio is playing bass. And I think maybe James Murphy played on that record. I don't know, but
I think James Murphy was on that record, and it's weird.
But And no, it's just super stupid heavy. You know, like they've gotten heavier because I mean, if you listen to Legacy and New Order, there's a big difference there.
Oh yeah,
Legacy was very thrashy, and then New Order was kind of more. They kind of like found themselves in a way, you know. And then Practice What You Preach and Souls of Black they had your thrash moments. Then they put the Ritual, and that record was kind of like very light. And then since then, they got heavier and heavier. And from till now, I mean, I was just listening to their new. Actually, I got their new record. I forgot. Is that Brotherhood of the Snake, the newest one?
Their latest one is Brotherhood of the Snake.
Yeah. So I listened to that, and I'm like, holy shit! Like this band is still like, how is it that these dudes at over 50 can still pump out these insane tunes?
Yeah, they're still kicking ass.
It was actually done under a lot of turmoil and stress. From what I was reading an interview with Chuck Billy. Like it was done under a lot of stress. Like they had a time frame. Like they had to finish that thing, and it still sounds pretty killer. You know, like yeah, they're still kicking ass.
Yeah, I actually bought that one on cassette because cassettes are like coming back now or whatever. So I was like, oh, what the hell? I'll buy the new album on cassette.
My thing is vinyl. I buy everything on vinyl. So I have quite the collection down here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me as well. Vinyl is my...
It's a very expensive addiction.
Yeah, well, at least a lot of them now, whenever you buy the vinyl, you get the FLAC files. So even if you want the high-end audio in a digital format, you're still good to go.
Yeah, you can download it. That's pretty cool, actually, that they do that. So, because it gives incentive to buy the vinyl, too.
Exactly, and that's the reason why I keep buying vinyls, because I can get it both ways. I mean, it's the same reason why I do Blu-rays.
Well, I buy vinyl, and then I'm a subscriber to Apple Music, so I got everything on Apple Music as well. So I mean, but I definitely buy the vinyl, so at least the band gets the sound scan. You know, like
right.
But I like the Apple Music as having limited on my phone. I can just pick whatever I want and listen to it. So.
Right, I do the same thing with Spotify. It's a modern convenience, so you might as well use it. That's kind of how I look at it.
Exactly. I mean, I'm an old school dude, but I've been able to adapt. You know, so it is what it is. I still help the band by buying a physical product. And honestly, like the way I got, you know, I originally started to listen to music on vinyl, and I'd sold all my vinyl, and which is the biggest mistake of my life. One day I got my guitar player. I didn't know he's a DJ, so I knew he scratch with your vinyl, whatever. But I didn't know that he bought vinyl, like actual band. I thought he just bought singles, you know, to scratch and do beats and stuff. But he went to this place and he bought vinyl, and we played at a venue in Erie, Pennsylvania called Basement Transmissions, I think it's called, and connected to it was a record store. So I went in there, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, well, $400 later, I had a shitload of vinyl.
Right. I hate when that happens, too.
In my hand, and I absolutely fell in love with music all over again. You know, it's like, because I went back to how music to me is supposed to be listened to is on vinyl. That's my personal opinion.
Well, it commands your attention, and it makes it an event, because you have to sit down and listen to your record. You know, it's not a go jogging or go work out or, you know, go do something else. Where you have to put that thing in. You have to turn it over when it reaches the end of, well, unless you have a fancy turntable.
I'm looking for you, dude. Don't worry.
Yeah, but you know, it makes it an event. Something, you know, it's no different now than sitting down. You know, when you sit down and watch a TV show, unless you're my wife, you watch the entire thing. You know. And you're not looking at stuff on your phone or on your computer and stuff like that. But you know, for me, it's like literally just like, you know, I just got a Keurig for an early Christmas present, so I'll make myself a nice cup of coffee, sit down, put my Testament vinyl on or Exodus vinyl or whatever, and I'll just sit there and listen to the whole thing from beginning to end.
Yeah, there's nothing better, man. And I've been able to track down some of the original pressings.
That's rough.
Of these thrash records, which still has that warm sound, you know, like, and just like I listened to New Order the other day on Testament. I was like, wow, this thing sounds incredible. Like, you know, there's something about that wax, man.
Yeah, we were at the Rockin' Pod Expo in Nashville this year, and they had a bunch of vinyl dealers there. And I paid an undisclosed amount of money, and I got original pressings of Rain and Blood and South of Heaven.
Oh man, that your wallet must be hurting, bro.
I was not like I was just hoping these dudes weren't going to ask me for gas money on the way home. You know.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, here, man, here's the deed to my house. You know, just leave the turntable and like we're good.
Yeah, I've been able to get original pressings like Violence, Eternal Nightmare, the Bonded by Blood album by Exodus in original pressing. And so I've been able to get it's cool, but like some of the vinyl guys are like they're like when I got into vinyl again, I didn't realize how much of these dudes are fanatics about that shit.
Oh yeah,
they want to know the serial number and what year and is the label green does it say Combat Records, and there's all this stuff, and it's like, no,
right.
So, well, I don't want that. I said, don't you even want the music?
Right, yeah. It's a really good record. Have you listened to it? Yeah.
Like, it doesn't sound any different from the original one, So it's a little weird. I never realized how fanatical these people are. Like, I was selling a couple of vinyls. I have actually some vinyls for sale. I got a lot of doubles. And people asked me for pictures. They wanted the picture of the vinyl of the actual sleeve to see if there's any dents.
Right.
Like they're just really weird about this stuff.
Yeah, that sounds like my brother-in-law. He's got an insane collection, and he makes his own turntables. So he's got acrylic platters and everything, and he gets his own bearings made specially. I mean, it's pretty wild.
Oh, that's awesome.
So vinyl is heavy in my household.
That's awesome. We definitely strayed away from the thrash metal discussion.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. Hey, vinyl is an integral part of thrash metal.
Welcome to discography discussion. We do not stay on topic.
Yeah, we just try to make it superfluous.
That's cool because I mean I have a huge thrash collection on vinyl now, and they're very rewarding to get all this stuff, especially the thrash side of things. Like I don't know, I just love it.
Well, and like you said about the cover artwork, that's one of my favorite things about vinyl is like, dude, if the cover artwork is badass enough, I'll buy 2 copies of the record and I'll frame one and put it on my wall, like, because some of that stuff is real art.
The whole experience is looking at the vinyl, and then you and my favorite thing, and this is how I discovered a lot of new bands, my favorite thing of buying vinyl, especially from the thrash metal bands, was to see what bands they thanked.
Yep.
And I look for the thanks. Okay, I've never heard of this one. Let me go check out this. And that's how I discovered a lot of stuff. Like, when Testament would thank a lot of the Bay Area bands. And that's how the Bay Area thrash is like my favorite genre of all time. Like that, and there's nothing better than that area. I mean, the East Coast, you had your Anthrax, Overkill, your Nuclear Assault. But there was something about the Bay Area that completely overtook my whole life pretty much.
Well, that's where we got the big names from, right, Dan? Like, Metallica, Megadeth.
Everybody was Bay Area.
Everybody was California.
Yeah.
Well, Megadeth technically was from LA. So
that's true.
True story.
They were not Bay Area. I got to correct you there.
Yes, that's true.
But Metallica, Exodus, Forbidden, Heathen, Death Angel, Testament. I know there's more. It's just, but I think those were the kind of like the main ones. But
yeah, I don't hear too many people mention Forbidden anymore.
And there was a lot of low tier, like second tier, like Defiance, Blind Illusion, and stuff that didn't really get to the level of success that those other bands did. But
man, you're naming them all.
What was that?
I said you're naming them all. It's almost like you went on Wikipedia, man. You're
I don't need Wikipedia. I got it. I have the Robbipedia in my head.
Well, I didn't mean that. That's what you were going.
He corrects Wikipedia.
He is the vinyl library.
I'm just saying that, man. You definitely you can tell you love your Bay Area.
Well, I mean, there was just something about it, and the thing is about these thrash bands that I'm not knocking any new thrash bands because there's a lot of new ones like Havoc, like Hatchet, Dustbolt, great bands. But the thrash bands from the day, back in the day, you put Overkill, Destruction, Creator, Sodom, Nuclear Assault, and all the other bands that I mentioned. The one thing about those bands that most of the new bands don't have today, and I know it can be done, when the singer sang, you knew exactly who the band was. Like, when Bobby Blitz from Overkill started singing, you knew that was Overkill.
Absolutely.
Because there was no other band. When Tom Araya started singing, you knew that was Tom Araya. Like, you didn't, those dudes, every singer had their own thing. A lot of the bands of today, I can't really tell apart, unfortunately.
But do you think they're all trying to imitate the big names from the 80s?
Maybe, I don't know, but I can't really, I think that the one thing that they're trying to imitate, at least structures, like musical structures, I can see a lot of similarities. Vocally, no, the vocals are more harsh these days. But I can't tell these bands apart, and I'm not. That's it's not a knock on them at all. The one bands I can tell apart, like Lamb of God. When Randy starts singing, I know that's Lamb of God.
Yeah, he's very distinct.
And like Jesse from Killswitch. As soon as he starts singing, I know it's Jesse from Killswitch. But and the same with Brian from Shadows Fall. He had like a little Chuck Billy-ish type of vibe.
Yeah, he was one of my favorites, Brian Fair, because he. Shadows Fall was one of the first, quote unquote, newer bands.
Yeah.
And they're not really that new. They've been around forever at this point. But I remember thinking, these guys understand, what thrash music used to be. And
yeah, they had like a Testament vibe, and they had like an Iron Maiden-esque type of thing to them too. They had definitely gave it sounded old school with modern production. And they were one of the few bands of that of the new wave of thrash bands. Or I don't know if they were considered a thrash band. I thought they were kind of old school thrash to me.
I always thought they did. The first one I got by them was The Art of Balance, and I thought that was thrash. It was a little hardcore, but everything was at that point, so it wasn't like I was...
Well, Brian came from Overcast, so he had that hardcore style with him already, and he kind of introduced that into Shadows Fall, which made them unique. I thought they were very unique. They didn't sound like really any of the newer bands that were coming out. But yeah, that's the cool thing about those old bands, that they had that there was the voice that distinguished, that completely separated all of them.
Yeah, and I heard a lot of versatility too in them too. Look at Chuck Billy. That dude can sing any style of metal.
Oh yeah, he can be a death metal singer. He can be a thrash singer. He can actually sing.
Right. How about that? Yeah.
Which is very rare.
Yeah.
It's very rare. Like Joey Belladonna, as much, he brought... Anthrax would not be Anthrax without Joey, I think. His voice, I think, fit that whole thing.
Well, Dan, I remember talking about Shadows Fall. Those were your big-time elitist days, because people would say, this is a new thrash band, and you'd be saying, no, this is punk.
Yeah, I used to be a dickhead. I still am, but not about music.
No, when I heard Shadows Fall for the first time, I think Testament came to mind, and I was like, okay, and I know Brian is I've known Brian for a few years. We're one of the nicest dudes you'll ever meet, and very knowledgeable about music as well. And that's the first thing that I heard was I heard a Testament. I said, man, this band sounds very old school. They didn't really have breakdowns. If I remember correctly.
Not any different than you would get out of any other thrash band. It's not like. I don't remember hearing the chugga chugga metalcore breakdown.
Yeah, I didn't hear that. But even though they got thrown into that metalcore category, because that's what they got thrown into the Unearthed and As I Lay Dying, type of category. And then I thought those bands were more the chugga chugga, which I love. I love Unearthed. I think they're the best breakdown band in the world.
Right.
To me. But Shadows Fall I don't think fit that bill, so. No,
they were cut above, at least from a guitar playing perspective,
Oh, John is a beast, man.
Yeah. Well, bands like As I Lay Dying and stuff, that was all... in my ears, that was all basically just the stuff that was going on in Sweden, and they just added breakdowns to that. And, then you had metalcore in America, and it was a huge phenomenon. And I remember sitting there thinking, man, you guys know there's tons of records out that are just like this, but a little bit less trendy, I guess.
Yeah, just people like what they like, It's whatever is exposed to them at that time. But I saw As I Lay Dying live once, and they crushed. They were so good.
Shame about that singer, though. Yeah.
No, shit happens,
Well, luckily in that case, nobody actually got hurt, so
That's true.
Yeah, that's the one good thing that came out of that. Nobody actually got hurt.
Absolutely.
Fortunately, and hurt his career, but It is what I know. I think he's out, right?
Yeah, he's out. He's out now.
He's
yeah.
actually trying to
reform the band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be probably their fans would probably enjoy that, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I know the rest of the band for a while there had distanced themselves quite a bit from Tim.
I mean, it's understandable,
Yeah,
you know,
you kind of have to. And they actually completely changed styles. They brought in another lead singer. I forget the name, what they called themselves, but
Woven War.
Woven War, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not bad, actually. That first record's really good.
Yeah.
I have to commend them to. I think all the singing was clean.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, so which is pretty cool. You know, I thought it was going to be kind of like As I Lay Dying Part 2, and it wasn't. Like, they really dug deep and made a really, really good record.
Yeah, that singer, he's a guy named Shane Blay, and he used to sing and play guitar in a band I used to like called A Sleeper.
Oh, I remember that band.
Yeah, they're really cool, and yeah, I always thought he had a really good singing voice. So it was really cool to hear. For me, as a fan of that band, really cool to hear him get to sing on a whole record, you know, as lead vocal. Yeah, we veered off track. We veered off at Thrash again. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's go for number 3.
What, third strike, you're out, Joe?
Hey, Third Strike is amazing, but we'll talk about that later.
Right. Nice. Yeah, I guess for me, one of my biggest, okay, let's just get out of the way. Like, obviously Metallica, you know. Yeah. Metallica's the reason we're all here, right? I mean,
pretty much.
And
pretty much.
You know, so obviously it was Metallica, but I found myself whenever I really wanted to dig into thrash deeper, I'd say the biggest, like, most influential record for me was Beneath the Remains.
Yeah, that's an amazing record.
It's just, I mean, from start to finish, it was just, I think what attracted me to it the most was just the energy, the speed, and just the fact that they could pull it off, you know? Like, yeah,
I saw them actually on that tour in Massachusetts, and I think they were touring with Obituary and Sadist.
Wow.
If I'm mistaken. And that varied. I mean, I actually met Max that night and Igor, and I mean, they crushed it that night, and which I'm glad that I saw them then.
Sure, yeah.
And, you know, that's when I'm like a lot of people that I know now. Oh yeah, I saw them on the Roots album. I said, well, that's not the Sepultura that I know. Not that there's anything wrong with Roots.
No, there's nothing wrong with the later band, but yeah.
But I saw them on the Beneath the Remains, you know, and when they were like super fast, and then I saw them on Arise as well. That's a great record too, and that's as far as my top 20, I'd put Beneath the Remains is in there somewhere.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Sure. My top record's always going to be Master of Puppets. So
it's a perfect record. I mean, it's hard to.
I always tell people it's the most perfect album ever recorded. Like, as far as front to back, that record is just a masterpiece. And I don't care what anybody says.
How would you rate the new record?
New record? What, on a scale of 1 to 10?
Compared to their other records?
Well, it's definitely not Master of Puppets. It's not Matt. To me, when I first heard Hardwired, I was on tour. I heard the song Hardwired. I didn't even know they were releasing a song. All of a sudden, I go online and I see new Metallica songs. Holy shit! So we put it on Apple TV on the tour bus, and we listened to it, and my jaw just dropped. I said, holy shit! It's fast stuff. You know, like, and I think that song is pretty. I think it's one of the better Metallica songs to me. You know, and to me, that record sounds like. Again, it's just personal opinion. It sounds like new wave of British heavy metal done today, and you can hear all those influences on that record. You can hear your Diamond Head. You can hear the Tigers of Pantang, the Iron Maiden. You hear all that stuff that influenced them is on that album. And to me, honestly, I love Hardwired. That's, you know, a lot of people do, a lot of people don't. A lot of people have just mixed reviews on it. But it's definitely, I mean, I can't compare it to any other record, but to me, the song Hardwired, it sounds like riffing from Kill 'Em All.
Absolutely.
Well, I thought it was interesting that they, for the first time in a long time, it was just James and Lars. And that was where the song ideas got put together. And that's what they did in the past. The two of them took everybody's ideas and then went off and put it all together. and we didn't really see a change until they started trying to write stuff as a 4-piece.
Lars and James, I mean, they are Metallica, you know, and James writes a lot of stuff, and the other guys submit, but Lars puts all that shit together. He's the arranger of the band, and but yeah, and I was glad that there were both of them, you know, back to what they do best. So it was cool.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised when that single came out. I was expecting more of the same as far as what's been going on with them for like the past 15, 20 years. The fact that they went back to their sound, at least the sound went back to their roots. I was
honestly,
I was stoked.
The Death Magnetic record is amazing to me. I think that's a great record too.
Be truthful with you, I probably at that point I'd almost written them off with new material and didn't pay as close attention as I probably should have. Whenever Load and Reload hit, I was a teenager and very judgmental, and they had cut off all their hair, and it was like I lost my heroes.
I hear you, dude. I hear you. But honestly, man, I mean, as weird as it sounds, I was having this discussion with a friend of mine. The Saint Anger record. Yeah, that record obviously got a lot of flack because of the production. But if you listen to those riffs, listen to the music, try to block out the production. I know it's hard.
You're not kidding, man.
But what I did is that record came with a DVD of them practicing the songs. I listened to that, and without that record, you wouldn't have gotten Death Magnetic or Hardwired. I think that record was a catalyst of bringing back their sound, kind of.
Like a warm-up?
Yeah, like a warm-up. Like to bring back. And honestly, if you listen to Hardwired, it's the first thrash metal song ever to go #1.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
But nobody really realized that. And I was thinking about this the other day. Like, okay, Metallica is the first thrash metal band that released a thrash metal style song to radio, and it went #1. That's pretty incredible to me.
Yeah,
like
in 2017.
What song that fast have you ever heard on active rock radio #1? Never in the history of music. It's never happened.
No, people don't like aggressive. Like the population on a whole doesn't like aggressive music.
But Metallica had, and then when they had 3 songs in the top 40,
right?
Which is crazy.
And now Spit Out the Bone is on, which is another banger of a track.
I was going to say, Spit Out the Bone is fucking great.
That's one of the best Metallica songs ever written, and that's on the charts now, too. So, yeah, they definitely are having a good cycle.
I was shocked that they went platinum on the record. I mean, it's not like it's a shot that Metallica went platinum, but, like, I guess what I'm saying in, like, 2017...
That's difficult.
That's crazy to me.
There's no other metal band that's gone platinum.
No.
In the last, I don't know how long. You know, outside of Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift went platinum. That's the only other artist that I know that went platinum, actually, with physical sales.
Yeah, like in this day and age, it just doesn't happen, and that's a testament to Metallica. No pun intended.
Testament. See what you did there?
Yeah. But no, that's just goes to show that they're the band that because people want to shit on Load and Reload and the Black Album for not being thrash metal or whatever, and those people are for the most part morons. But
I think I just got nailed.
Yeah. We'll talk about it later, Jeff.
Here's the thing. To me, the Black Album. Okay, I've been a fan of Metallica since I've listened to the record from first, in order. That's how I get into them. When I heard Inner Sandman, I didn't feel betrayed as a fan. There was nothing wrong with the song to me. I thought the song was great. I grew up with the band. As the band grew, so did I. I didn't have no issue with that song whatsoever. And there's not one thrash metal song on that record. There's no thrash beat at all in that album. Like the Through the Never, I think, is like the heaviest chuggy part.
Yeah.
Like about as chuggy and heavy as they got. But I didn't feel betrayed. But Load and Reload, and that took a little getting used to. And I did listen to it, but they're not my favorites, obviously,
But that's what got them into the mainstream eye, Black Album, Load and Reload. And so it's kind of cool now.
Here's the thing. Metallica was already selling out arenas before that Black Album even was a thought.
Right.
And Justice for All, they were selling out arenas with no radio, no nothing. They had just decided to do a video, for one. So for people to say that they sold out, it makes absolutely no fucking sense to me, because they were already selling out arenas as a thrash metal band.
Right.
So it's just, I never understood why people thought they sold out. So
it was actually really influential on sculpting what my metal listening habits would be. Because I actually ended up turning to European metal right around the time with Load and Reload, and that's when I discovered In Flames and stuff like that. So I really became a huge fan of, you know, death metal and melodic death metal, and a lot of that is because I was upset and I was looking for something new metal, a different type of metal to channel, you know, my passion and also my frustration into. And so for me, it was actually, even though it was disappointing on the direction that they went, it was great for me because I got to discover something brand new. And it's not, you know, of course, back then in the 90s, it's not like how it is now that, you know, you couldn't just go on the internet and find it. So I'm actually kind of thankful that it ended up happening because it really, I don't know how expanded my horizons would have been with my metal listenership if it hadn't have been for Load and Reload.
Yeah, I mean, I kept listening to Metallica religiously. It didn't matter. I mean, and it's funny you mentioned In Flames. I mean, look what the kind of stuff they're doing these days.
Oh, it's rough,
you know,
man.
Like, I mean, it's not bad. You know, I come from a different mold. You know, I never was an elitist type of guy. You know, like I never, like some of these dudes online, man. It's like they get so mad about stuff. It's like you gotta let a band grow. You know, you have to let the band grow, and you know, it's their band. You know, and let them do whatever the hell they want. You know, it's their decision.
I've always been a huge fan of bands being able to take that risk. You know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But like you said, it's their fucking band. I mean,
exactly.
They're making the music. I mean, if you don't like it, you know, either listen to something else or make your own music. I mean, those are really your two options.
But here's the thing. Like it's just the discussion with Metallica. So, you know, there's no way that any band in this world is going to recreate that record that you love. There's just no way. There's no way Metallica can write another Master of Puppets. Anthrax cannot write another Among the Living. You know, Megadeth, I don't know, be able to write another Rust in Peace. You know what I'm saying? Those are the classic albums. And every band, all those bands at that time were, you're in a different mindset. There's a mindset that goes into writing music. You may not feel the same way when you write another record. You know, like you're probably not mad about the same things that you were when you were 25 years old.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, at 50 years old, there's no way you can be pissed off about the things that pissed you off at 25.
Now you're just pissed off at how expensive college tuition is for your kids.
Pretty much. You know? Like, it's just, I think, just let the bands grow. Let the bands do their thing. Just like you said, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like, somebody said that to me, like, the other day, like, well, it worked for AC/DC. I said, well, I haven't heard another Back in Black. You know, but the band continued to do their thing, but just Back in Black was just that special thing. It's just sometimes, you know, like Master of Puppets is like it's the Metallica album for me, you know, like, so I don't know, it's just weird. It's like these elitists. I said, well, you can always go pick Master of Puppets and put it on. That record's there for the rest of your natural born life.
That has been our mantra for a long time.
I was gonna say, you're our new best friend, because that's totally what we're all about. Like, if you don't like the new stuff, go listen to what you did like. I mean, they get to make whatever they want, but that old record's still there.
For me, Rain and Blood is always there. Why would I want to listen to them recreate Rain and Blood when that's right there?
I could go listen to Season in the Abyss and then come back to Rain and Blood.
Right. Yeah, Season in the Abyss. And here's the thing. Season in the Abyss is a different kind of record. I didn't feel betrayed.
No.
It's a great record. And so is South of Heaven.
Yeah, I think the whole betrayed feeling is, you know, kind of, I think the root of it, it's like nobody's doing shit to you personally, you know, like.
Exactly. That's one of the things, like, how is this affecting your life? You know, so it is what it is. I don't know. I just never felt betrayed by any bands. Now, there's some bands that have been continued the way they play, like Overkill. You know, they continue to do what they've always done. And it works. It works for them. They're consistent. They never changed, you know, but some bands just want to grow. Let them grow. and shut the fuck up.
Right? Got all these damn podcasters out there giving their opinions about shit. No.
I mean, like I said, I think all bands should grow. You know, like if you're not a musician, if you don't grow. I mean, like actually, my absolute favorite band in the whole world is Rush. And Rush has changed from the progressive days to what they're doing now. But I still love the band all the same.
Yeah, that's another band that's a huge influence on my listenership is Rush. Yeah, I love that band.
Oh, I love Rush, man. That's like that was my first favorite band. Well, Rush, Metallica, and Black Sabbath are like my three.
That's a heck of a holy trinity there. So.
Good company to keep, yeah.
Yeah, those are the three bands that, you know. But also, man, I love my Megadeth. You know, I love Slayer. I love Anthrax. You know. But I love stuff like The Doors too, you know. So it's just I change, you know, with a lot of stuff. But thrash metal is my number one go-to thing when I'm mad.
I feel like I'm getting a picture of where all your beats come from, of all these different little pieces.
Well, I'm definitely influenced by a lot of those people. You know, like I'm influenced by John Bonham and Bill Warren just as much as I'm influenced by Dave Lombardo and Charlie Benante. You know, like I've taken a little bit of everybody and mixed it in.
Out of all the popular thrash, is there, I'm not going to use the word mainstream because I don't think mainstream thrash is a thing in the 80s when vinyl was amazing. Is there any mainstream thrash or more popular thrash that you don't like?
Well, I wouldn't name any names. So I mean that's not the kind of guy I am. You know, there's bands that I like, bands that I don't like. I'd rather just talk about the ones I like.
All right.
That's
no, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm not about being negative about other bands. You know, like there's bands I definitely do not enjoy, but I don't think they suck. It's just not for me. I don't think any band sucks. I just think they're not for me. That's how I look at it.
That's a good outlook.
Yeah, it's respectable for sure.
I mean, it's just like I'd rather not. I'm not gonna say this band sucks because to somebody else they won't suck. You know what I'm saying?
And that's also somebody else's art. You know, they put their blood, sweat, and tears into it.
I don't want that guy to say my band sucks. I'm sure I've heard it many times. You can go online and read comments from people that says, "Oh, this Nonpoint sucks."
Well, but that's factually incorrect.
You know, that's your opinion. That's
too many
cool.
albums.
Hey,
well, that's the whole thing.
You're a lot cooler for saying that.
Right.
You know, like, sometimes I agree with him. Yeah, we do. Just like Primus. And you know how Primus says Primus sucks?
Yeah.
Well, we suck too.
Well, everybody hates their own music, you know. Like not hates it, but you know what I mean. Like
everybody is their own worst critic.
Well, yeah, you hear everything, you know, because like I was listening to our record, Joe, a while back, and I was just listening to it. And I was like, God damn, you know, guitar sounds out of tune here. We should have recorded with different amps. You know, it's just like that's all I'm thinking about.
The lead singer didn't mention the vocals. The
lead singer's vocals sucked, which was me. It was really bad. So, but you know, that's just it. Like, you know, instead of just kicking back and listening to the music, see the people that listen to the few people that listen to our band, they just heard the record. And I'm listening to it, and I'm hearing all this shit going on that I remember from the process of making it. You know, so like,
what's the name of your band?
We were called End of Destiny. We were a hardcore band. This is about a decade ago, though. We're not doing anything now. But
well, here's the thing: like, you're your own worst critic. Like, I just listened to my newest record the other day. My son loves to listen. I have a little drum set downstairs, so he likes to play downstairs. And he says, "Dad, put on Generation Idiot."
That's cool.
So I put it on. He just wails on the kit, and then I listened to it. I said, "Man, I could have done that. Feel a lot different. This beat, I could have done one less hi hat here." You know, like you are your own worst critic. There's nobody's going to criticize your music worse than yourself. You know, then I went back and listened to all my other records. I'm like, oh my God, that sucked. It's like, I say that all the time about myself. So, I mean, I'm only allowed to say I suck. You're not allowed to say it.
Right.
I'll say this, and I'm being honest. The first reason I heard Nonpoint was your drumming. Because I went to my drum lesson, and my drum teacher put on Recoil, and I think it was track 7 is the cover you did of In the Air Tonight. He says, you're going to learn how to play this. And I said, that's a Phil Collins song. He says, no, you're going to play this version.
Oh, wow.
I then took the record home and listened to it from beginning to end, and I called him back and said, so track 1, these drums are way too heavy for this style of music. He says, no, dude, you're going to play all of this.
Oh, for the In the Air Tonight?
Oh, for In the Air Tonight, The Same, The Truth, that whole record. He just said, no, you're going to play this whole record by the time you're done. I got about 3 songs in. And I said, man, my feet aren't good enough yet.
Wow.
He didn't like a quitter.
You. I'll take that as a compliment. I appreciate that. I remember we were touring with Drowning Pool, and then you mentioned The Same. I think CJ mentioned something like, hey, you start that record with the like you guys just came out swinging.
Right.
and actually we just played that last year for the first time in like 10 years, and my feet were hating me. My legs were absolutely hating me because I haven't played that in so long. Like sometimes your legs, you need to get them warmed up to do so, and that was the first song in the set. And I was like, oh my God, you really want me to start off like this? I'm going to be dead by the end of the song.
You can go out and do the Portnoy thing where you just warm up the crowd, but really you're warming your feet up for 2 minutes. Like, come on, we're getting ready to go. Really, I'm just psyching myself up.
Well, that's pretty cool that your teacher used that record as a reference. I'd never imagined something like that. So.
Oh yeah, he used to give me all my obscure records of 2004. Like Pulse Ultra and Atom Ship. I got those from him. And
Pulse Ultra, I remember those dudes from Canada. I think
they're awesome.
Right. One record and they're done. I'm so angry.
But it was so damn good.
I mean, same thing with this band called Pressure 4-5. They were on the Ozfest with us. And I thought that was an incredible record. And it was one record and they're done. How is that even possible? So it is what it is, man.
We're just thankful that we have that record.
Right.
Exactly. You can always put it on. It's always there. So.
It's just like your favorite thrash record, Dan.
Oh, nice. Way to bring.
So now that we're talking thrash records, I mean, what are your all's favorite thrash records? Like, what is your all-time thrash album?
Ooh.
Mine is Master of Puppets, and then Rain and Blood is a close. Like that, I think they're tied to me.
If I'm picking just my favorite thrash record, because I do think that Master of Puppets is perfect, my actual favorite thrash record is Abigail, King Diamond.
Oh, good. Ambula Rock. Great guitar player.
That man, that creepy guy with his face paint, the first time I heard him was Family Ghost, and I said, who would sing like this? I then went home and listened to the record 5 times in a row and said, I got to go buy the rest of his albums.
Yeah, and that my first time listening to King Diamond was in Merciful Fate, so I heard the Melissa album, and that's... again, one of my top 20s, like one of the best records. That's just like, holy crap. And I saw Merciful Fate live in Fort Lauderdale. I was like, wow. And he still kills it, still to this day.
I'm going to sidestep the question, Rob, and say, so you have your collection and the house is on fire. I realize that the actual answer to the question is as many as I can, but you got to grab 5. Which 5 are you taking with you?
Which 5 records I'm going to take with me? There's a fire.
I know the answer
after
is
the family's out of the house.
My family.
Right. Okay,
you're
home alone.
Right now.
You're home alone, and it's just you and your records, and the house is on fire. Go.
Well, my first. Okay. Well, Master of Puppets is definitely going to be one. Rain and Blood, a non-thrash album, Tool's Anima.
Ooh,
that actually taken that one too. So
good choice.
I will take that one because I had that one on vinyl. 2 other ones, I don't know. Man, God, I have so many amazing records down there. It's so hard to pick. Oh, Death Angel Act 3.
Oh, hell yeah.
And, okay, another non-metal record, Peace of Mind by Iron Maiden.
There you go.
I mean, non-thrash record, sorry. No, that's very metal. I mean, not thrash. But yeah, Master Puppets, Death Angel, Peace of Mind, Tool. What was the other one I said? Iron Maiden. So what are your 5? Now I get to be the podcaster.
There you go.
What are your 5?
All right, Dan, go right ahead.
Oh, shit. I don't know, man. I might just let it burn with me. But let's see. I would probably grab Rust in Peace for sure.
Awesome.
Definitely. I don't have this on vinyl, but does it have to all be thrash metal, Joe?
Okay, wait. I have to have an audible, so I'm going to grab Rain and Blood too. So
okay, perfect.
So Rob's going back for Rain and Blood.
He's going back for Rain and Blood.
It's going to be a little scarring, but he'll be okay.
I'm going to forget that I forgot it. Raining Blood, then I'm gonna come back in and get it.
Okay, so I'm grabbing Rust in Peace. I'm grabbing Seasons in the Abyss.
Yes.
I'm grabbing, this is a weird one, so bear with me. I'm grabbing Psychosurgery by Tourniquet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Christian metal band.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. But
I have a great story about a Christian metal band, so go ahead.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to grab Injustice for All, because that's my favorite Metallica record.
Dude, I should have gone first.
That's why you're going last, sir.
And the last one probably is going to be the Crash of 47 by Adam Ship.
You have that on vinyl?
I don't have it on vinyl, but
you got to grab the disc.
But if I did in this fiction, it's a fictional scenario, so I can pretend that CD's on vinyl.
Yeah.
You hear that, Chad Kent? Get on that. What was your story?
Oh, well, you ever heard of the band Believer?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay, now...
Oh, shit, I wasn't even thinking about Believer.
Dad, do you have the record Sanity Obscure?
I do.
Do you have that in front of you right now?
Not in front of.
I don't have it in front of me. I have the cassette, but it's at home.
Okay, now, do you have an iPhone?
Yeah.
Okay, Google that record's tracks listing and look at track number 3, and you'll see something very interesting.
Really?
Yeah, so the third song is called Nonpoint.
Holy shit.
That's how I got the name of the band.
Half-Life 3 confirmed.
Honestly, dude, I had no idea. I'm a huge Believer fan.
I am too, and I have the first 2 albums on vinyl.
Oh my god,
wow.
dude!
And I think that story has gotten back to Kurt Bachman, the singer, when I moved from Boston to Puerto Rico, I saw the name. It's like Nonpoint. I was like, yeah, that's gonna be the name of the band.
Wow. That is so cool. And your story was a lot better than mine. What I was going to say is that, dude, the entire reason I'm into metal and hard music and stuff was because as a kid, I was raised in an extremely religious household and was only allowed to listen to Christian music and Christian bands and stuff like that. So, like, everybody talks about, Slayer, Metallica, Megadeth and stuff. But it's like, for me, my first actual thrash bands were Tourniquet, Believer, Deliverance,
Mortification.
Mortification.
What about Vengeance?
Vengeance was fucking awesome.
Yeah. I dug Vengeance. And I think the funny thing about Vengeance, and they were just on I just listened to them on a podcast recently, not too long ago.
Yeah.
I guess they're back together, and they have like a new guy singing. I guess the singer that they had, he's became a Satanist.
Yeah, their original singer became a Satanist.
Roger Martinez, or his name was.
Yeah, he went really off the deep end, and not just a Satan, because it's one of those things that, like, I feel like, to just say, hey, I don't believe in this anymore isn't like that bad, but like he really went out of his way to be an asshole about it. To me, I never really got into I got into a few of the Christian thrash bands. I didn't really dig Mortification. I think they were from Australia, right? Yeah, they're more known as a death metal band than a thrash band. So their death metal stuff's pretty good, but the rest of their stuff kind of it was no Tourniquet. Let's put it that way. Like it was okay.
To me, the 3 bands that I liked of that genre, the Christian, was Vengeance, and then once I got into Believer, I kind of forgot about Vengeance.
Yeah.
And then Living Sacrifice.
Living Sacrifice.
They were really cool. And I'm friends with Bruce, our guitar player. They're still kicking around.
Yeah, they're awesome. We actually, how many weeks ago? Like 3 weeks ago, we did a full set down. We ranked we discussed every Living Sacrifice album.
I like that very first record. They kind of had a Slayer influence, like very Slayer.
Yeah, that thing's awesome.
Everything, we were huge fans of, at least me, Everything But Non-Existent.
Yeah, the second record.
Yeah, that one I had a hard time on. The vocals, when we were talking about production quality earlier, tried to look past that. That's exactly where my mind went. I was thinking, like, I still want to like this album, but I can't get past the vocals and the production to hear everything else that's so good on that album. Because Dan keeps telling me, just keep listening to it more and more. And I'm like, I'm trying, but I can't.
I have another band that I liked from the Christian community was The Crucified.
The Crucified is really good. I've got their box set recently that's got all the album, all their recorded material.
I got that first record on vinyl too.
That's
really,
just
really
the
cool.
self-titled Crucified. That one's got like Into the Pit and
Hellcorn.
That was such
a great record.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised Dan didn't put Zayo in his 5 that he was going to say from the fire. I'm shocked,
Well,
actually.
at first I was like thrash bands, right? And Zayo's not a thrash band, so
Yeah.
yeah.
It was a faulted scenario when we started.
Well, they're my favorite band, man. What can I say? Obviously I'd grab all my Zayo records to get the hell out of there, but
Are you into? Is Norma Jean? Are they a Christian band too?
kind
They
of.
started
I think
as
so.
one.
Yeah.
My old bass player was huge into Norma Jean.
Yeah.
Have you heard the new Polar
Whoa.
Similar?
No, I have not.
It's a really good record.
There's just so much music there. I just can't catch up.
That's the challenging thing nowadays with everybody being connected with the internet. It's so hard to know what everybody else is talking about. It used to be that everybody was in their own little communities of, whatever music they were listening to. Your listenership was only so big amongst your friends. Now it's the entire internet. So
Oh, the wonderful world of the internet.
yeah, I love it though because I like finding these weird obscure bands that nobody's heard. And
Well, here's a new band you should check out. I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's Ruach or Ruach. And James Hetfield's nephew is the drummer. And they got I think that's how you spell it. And they're on Apple Music. They have an EP. One of my buddies is their manager. He actually sent it to me. I was like, wow, this sounds really cool.
yeah, we'll have to check it out.
And on the Atlas Arise video by Metallica, James Hetfield's wearing, in one of the scenes, he's wearing their T-shirt, whatever. But
That's really cool.
Kid can play some drums, man. Definitely, Thrash is in that family for sure.
Yeah. It's never going to be out.
No, but yeah, they're definitely a cool band, a cool new band, one of the newer bands that I enjoyed.
Joe, did you give your 5 albums? that you're
Yeah.
gonna say
Oh,
from the
yeah.
five?
He totally sidestepped the question. We didn't
Yeah,
get
I
his
know.
5.
That's because I don't have a very large vinyl collection, so
Well, it doesn't matter.
Mine's going to be really obscure.
Well, dude, I started
Just-
making shit up. You
Yeah,
can too.
I'm totally gonna make shit up too. So do it, as if you owned every album out there.
Tommy by The Who, Trout Mask Replica by Captain Beefheart, because nobody has that record. Only I have that record, and I'm taking it.
Captain Beefheart.
Captain Beefheart.
Holy crap, that's amazing.
There's a list of artists that I always had in the back of my head, never knew who they were, and then in the past 5 years, I actually figured out their names. Because I thought Captain Beefheart was this weird alter ego of Frank Zappa that I made up. And then my uncle just out of the blue hands me this record and says, "Here, you can have this now." Trout Mask Replica. I went home. I called him back. I said, "You got any more of that? Because that was just weird." Oh, yeah.
That's awesome, Captain Beefheart. I love it.
So how many you got now? Is that 3?
Sure, Jeff. Abbey Road because it's my mother's. Ziggy Stardust because it's Ziggy Stardust. And Master of Puppets because it's Master of Puppets.
Damn, that's a very eclectic choices there. Love it.
I'm a weird eclectic guy sometimes. I sit down and listen to Frank Zappa and then call Dan. What are you listening to? I'm listening to Tourniquet.
Yeah. I'm usually listening to Thrash.
I have a couple Frank Zappa records. That was one weird dude, for sure.
Have you seen any of his son's performances with the
No.
tribute band?
No, I haven't.
Ahmed's his other son who did some of the singing.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen him perform with the tribute band, though.
No, that's because he's the executor of the state, and him and Dweezil do not get along, from what I understand.
And nobody asked what Moon Unit thinks.
I forget the youngest daughter's name, but yeah. So that's 3 of the 4 kids that between the 2 of us have named off. That's kind of scary. So yeah, and Justice for All for me, because that was my first introduction to metal. Period.
Yeah.
That was back in '88. I had a kid that
Great introduction.
yeah, absolutely. There was a kid up the street from me that was this. He was a few years older than I was, and he was this total punk skater dude, and just 13 years old, smoking his cigarettes, total asshole. He popped that in, and I was like, oh my god, this is transformative. This is going to change my life, and I've been a metalhead ever since.
And the best part about it, you probably didn't even realize there was no bass on the album.
Yeah. Well, he had this real shitty little boombox, but he was the only one that had a boombox, so he was the coolest one. So we all had to envy his shitty boombox.
He with the loudest radio.
Yes, well, he was
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And then since I said In Flames earlier, the Jester Race, That's
great record.
Yeah.
Do you have that on vinyl?
No, but you do.
I
I'm
do.
breaking into your
breaking
house
into my house and taking it. Your house is on fire, dude. Come on.
Pantera is by Cybreed. It's a Swiss metal band that I'm a huge fan of. Actually, the drummer for Megadeth did the studio drumming for that. Dirk Rivera.
Dirk?
Yeah. Dude, I love him.
Cool.
He's unbelievable. I mean, everybody knows his stuff from Soilwork, but his stuff on Cybreed is insane.
He's a fantastic drummer. I can't wait to hear him like on new Megadeth stuff.
Yeah. He's on my bucket list to see live. I've been a fan of his since he was in Scarve. And that's 15, 20 years ago, I guess now. But yeah, I love his stuff. Let's see what else we do. All right, I'm going to go off Dead End Kings by Catatonia. I'm a huge Catatonia.
Great band.
Yeah. Now I got to figure out what else to do. I'm going to go a little weird because I got to have a little fun. How about Sing Along with Skankin' Pickle by Skankin' Pickle, because I love me some ska.
Jesus, Jeff.
Skanking Pickle.
Get out of my house.
Oh, dude.
Right.
Skanking Pickle are going on tour together.
Yeah.
Dude, Skankin' Pickle's actually, they got some chops. I mean, when they're jamming, they can keep up with a lot of metal bands. You'd be surprised live in concert. Another one of our buddies, he's a big Skankin' Pickle fan as well. So unfortunately, he's not here to back me up, but I promise they're good. As far as they're on the heavier side of ska.
I may have to check it out.
Skankin' Pickle.
Skankin' Pickle, man, I fucking love them, man.
Okay, who's the most underrated thrash band you think?
Ooh.
Thrash band that underrated that should have been, that band that should have been that never was.
I'm going to exclude the Christian stuff because that's a given.
So who do you think should have gotten bigger?
Testament.
I agree there. But you know what? On that, I saw him headline in Boston at the Orpheum, and that was like a 4,000 or 5,000 seater. That place was sold out. That was on the Practice What You Preach tour.
Yeah. And it's not that Testament wasn't big.
It was them, Sabotage, and Nuclear Assault.
Nice. It's not that they weren't big, but I always kind of felt like they were, in my opinion, I thought that Testament was just as good as a Metallica, just as good as a Megadeth, but they never got into, they weren't in the big four, like it's weird to me because Testament was so damn good, and it just doesn't, and I realize that like not everybody can be at the top, that's just the nature of music. I'm sure that there are hundreds of much better bands than the ones that are at the top of the pile. Mm. And I wouldn't necessarily say the Testament was better than Metallica. I definitely think that they were better than Anthrax. But it's just one of those weird. It's just one of those weird things that I don't understand that, like, why only now is Testament really starting to be regarded as one of the as one of the best thrash bands, and really even Exodus to a lesser degree.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because I felt that way like when Death Angel released that Act 3 record. Like, I really thought they were gonna like blow up. They were on Geffen. It was a very versatile and very accessible album, but still had a lot of thrash elements in there.
Yeah, for sure.
Never took off for them. But the cool thing though about these bands is, even though they never reached that stardom, they're still around. They're still releasing good music, and Testament can still play the bigger venues. They don't play arenas. They never really did, I don't think. But they can still play like your House of Blues and stuff like that. You can still see a really good show.
Well, and you even mentioned it earlier, Forbidden. Forbidden's one of my favorite thrash bands ever, and I don't really hear very many people talk about them. I was actually surprised when you mentioned them.
Yeah, I've known Craig for a little bit now, their guitar player, and I saw them open for Death Angel, actually. And they were really good live, really killer band live. And then I saw them years later with like Malevolent Creation, which was a very odd pairing, but it was a good show. They're very tight. Russ was a fantastic singer, and which I don't know. I don't know why they never got over the hump. It's just so weird that they never, because they were very accessible. They had great songs.
Yeah, they had a good melodic vocalist who also could be harsh. Yeah,
incredible musicianship in that band. Like, they were very good musicians in that band. So I don't know. It's just weird. It was just the big four that really got. But the other bands still, and they're still around. Like Creator is still around. Destruction is still around.
Sodom, yeah.
They're doing great stuff still. Like Creator can headline here in the States. They're actually coming over here with Sabaton, I think they're called. Sabaton or something like that.
Sabaton,
yeah, that's it.
Are they a thrash band?
They're thrashy. I don't think
they're more like an extreme metal.
Yeah, it's not. They're thrashy, but they're not like. I don't know. I guess I would go like more of like a Blind Guardian, like power metal kind of sound.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like really, really good, but not like.
I guess they're pretty big over here because Creator's opening up for them. So I was not aware like how big they were.
How big do you have to be for Creator to be your opening band? Like
wow.
I don't know. Well, I mean, Creator headline over here, and they played the House of Blues here in Chicago, and it was slam packed, and they didn't really have like big support with them. So I didn't know at Sabaton. I'm assuming that they're a little bit bigger than.
And they might be. I mean, people really love power metal, especially overseas.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. God, that like Manowar is massive over there, especially in Germany. They're huge in Germany.
A lot of these bands that we're talking about, they're like, oh, they didn't really get that big or whatever. It's weird how like a really what we would consider to be a moderately successful band, especially in the more extreme like thrash and death metal genres, they go overseas. Like here, they're playing at a bar to, they're happy if 150 people show up. They go overseas and there's like 1,000 people there.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just crazy.
So the one thing that I've known, I mean, Europe, and when we went over there, we did the Download Festival, and we were on the same stage as Napalm Death.
Oh.
It was Porcupine Tree.
Oh yeah, I like Porcupine Tree.
Dillinger Escape Plan, Napalm Death, Stone Sour, and us on the stage. And it was packed the entire time. And people were singing Napalm Death songs. Those same people were singing Dillinger songs. Those same people were singing Stone Sour songs. Like, people over there their open-mindedness over there is incredible. And then on the main stage, which blew me away, you had fucking Cinderella.
Nice.
Billy Idol, Lamb of God, Saxon, Deftones, all on the same stage.
That's awesome.
People singing Lamb of God were singing Billy Idol songs.
That's crazy.
I'm in the wrong country.
It's awesome, but it's crazy.
So it's like, I wish festivals over, they don't do stuff like that over here.
No,
unfortunately.
Over here, they try to package everything to, I guess, fit as good. Of course, I'm not the kind of guy that likes to watch, 5 bands in a row that all sound identical to one another, or play, the exact same style, and unfortunately, there's way too much of that, especially here in St. Louis. It's, oof.
Yeah, we're...
is that where you guys based out of?
Yes, we're in St. Louis.
Yeah.
Okay, I've played there a few times in St. Louis.
St. Louis is just not a good music town.
We have not had a lot of good luck there. I mean, the best times that we've had good shows there is when we supported people. Played at Pops, or what's that other venue? What's the big venue there?
It used to be Mississippi Nights.
But it's gone now.
There's also the Pageant. That might be
the Pageant.
The Pageant.
We played the Pageant, and we played there with Seven Dust, and it was, slam packed. But the times that we've gone there headlining, we've been to the Foo Bar, we've been to that's another place there. I can't remember the name of it.
Firebird, Side Door.
I know that every time a band in a band goes there, their stuff gets stolen.
Almost every time.
That and the Creepy Crawl, which is also no longer around.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, St. Louis hasn't been very friendly for us, man.
I know it's actually part of why we wanted to do this, is because there's such a dearth of metal, or lack. There's such a lack of metal in St. Louis. Unless you're gonna go back to like the early '80s, that's about the only time you're really gonna get it. Because there's a station here called Keishi that does a lot of classic rock and a lot of the early metal stuff. But back on like underrated thrash bands, I actually got a modern thrash band I think is underrated, and I think it's just because they came out at the wrong time. and that's Silosis.
Okay.
Silosis. I remember that band.
Dude,
There was another band, Lazarus AD,
yeah.
Yep.
from Milwaukee, I think they were, and they came out at those. They should have been out now. Like with your Havoc and Power Trip, and all these bands are getting all this love. But Lazarus AD, they reminded me of a Sacred Reich, like Ignorance era, and came out at the wrong time, man. Definitely underrated.
Yeah, I know you're big into like the Bay Area thrash, so you should check out Conclusion of an Age. That's their first album by Silosis,
Okay.
and they're really, really influenced by Bay Area thrash on that. I mean, it's
That's awesome.
kind of a concept metal, but you can tell where their influences come from. So
It said SY.
Yes.
Right? It starts with SY. Okay.
yeah, SYLOSIS.
Okay, yeah, I remember that, man. I haven't listened to them, but I've heard that name a lot.
They have one of my favorite songs. It's called "Swallow the World," and dude, it's unbelievable.
I'll check it out. I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So that's my underrated thrash is Silosis, just because they came out 10 years ago, which was the wrong time for that kind of music, I think.
Yeah, I don't know
Unfortunately.
what was going on at that time, but definitely wasn't thrash.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was another Christian thrash band that I liked a lot called Sacrament.
Yeah, from Philadelphia, right?
Yeah, and they were
They were on REX Music or whatever.
absolutely. Yep, REX Records. Yeah, they were awesome.
I know way too much. This is scary.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm used to being the one, like I start feeling like I'm not being obscure enough, so I start pulling out Christian metal bands, and most people are like, "Oh, what?" You're giving me a run for my money here.
Yeah, actually, they're not metal, but since we're talking about REX, I'm a huge Fleming and John fan. And then Delusions of Grandeur, that was...
You're supposed to say Circle of Dust.
Well, yeah.
Circle of Dust,
Yeah,
Jeff.
I know, Circle of Dust.
Oh, crap. We opened up for Circle of Dust years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the guy that we were talking about earlier that was helping us out with All About Industrial Clank. That's the touring guitarist in Circle of Dust.
Yeah,
I remember
Clank.
Circle of Dust. They were pretty good.
Yeah, actually, he just... Clayton just came out with a new Circle of Dust. Was it earlier this year or was it last year? Last year.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic.
Wow. Have you heard the latest stuff from Believer?
It's out there, man.
It's definitely different.
Yeah, it's not thrash metal, but I'm an old enough person now for that not to be a big deal.
I don't feel betrayed again.
Right, yeah. Yeah, you got to think most of those people that are like, "Oh my God, I feel so betrayed." In the same breath, they're like, "Shut up, Mom! I'm listening to my music downstairs." Like.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's true. I mean, because that's...
And they're like 39,
Oh, no, I hope not.
And then their mom's making them a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Too.
Absolutely. Last night, Mom told me to turn my music down, and I told her no. Let's see you try that shit, Jeff. Yeah.
And then I told her to do my laundry.
Good Lord.
Shit. I hope that's not my kids.
Right.
I'll kick their ass before that happens.
Oh man.
But
I don't think Joe's going to give us an obscure thrash band.
Oh, wait. Okay, here's a band that should have been bigger. Voivod.
Oh my God, yeah.
Oh.
Give me some of that Voivod.
Dude, I've got their Outer Limits cassette. That's a weird damn record, but I love it.
We opened up for Voivod years ago. Man, what a great show that was.
I think if I'm ever sick again, I think you guys need to call Rob here to fill in, because he'll yeah.
Hang on, Dan. Let me pull up the calendar and you can tell me when you're taking vacation.
Right, yeah, no. Yeah.
Man, you're like a walking encyclopedia, man. It's fantastic.
We have never talked to anybody that can just like
at the drop of a hat. There's no delay. That's impressive. Very much so.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I mean, I just honestly do. I've been asked to do a podcast, like I should be in the podcast world.
You should be.
And I've thought about it, and I just love talking music, man. I love, especially thrash and metal. I mean, I could go on and talk about thrash metal and hardcore, if need be. I'm not very savvy on the hardcore side, but on the metal and thrash side, definitely.
Well, you're easy to talk to, so
man,
and you're really good with flow of thought. So you could definitely
thank you, man.
You could run a podcast any day that you wanted to.
Well, from what I understand, he's going to start playing a role in the Talk To Me podcast, right? You're going to start doing picks of the week.
Yeah, I'm going to do like a pick of the week, I guess. I'm going to pick a song and talk about the song, and Joshua, hit me up about it, and then I would love to enter the podcast world and maybe look. I would love to do that as a second career. Like Jamie, like my buddy Jamie Josta. He is so amazing at it. He's been doing so.
Yeah, he's killing
that.
it on that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's him and Chris Jericho, another guy who does. He's been. I mean, he talks a lot about different stuff, but still, man, he's one of the top guys out there in the podcast world, which is great.
Yeah, he's another one that can just really. You just give him subject.
Yeah,
just
run with it. Yeah,
and his knowledge of music is ridiculous, man. Like, hey, we toured with Fozzy in Europe, man. We were talking about stuff that I had no idea he knew about. So it was pretty cool. I was very shocked.
Yeah, that's how I'm feeling tonight.
And you know who's another guy who knows a lot about music, man? I toured with Cory Taylor, like in 2006, and that dude's knowledge is ridiculous. Like, he blew me away. Every day we were like just going back and forth about stuff, like trying to outdo each other.
Right.
So it's great.
Right.
It was great, man. It was great. But and I know a lot of hair metal stuff too. Like, not just thrash. I know a lot about metal in general. Like other different genres. But thrash is one of the cool things. But I guarantee you probably had no idea that I knew about a band like Believer.
Yeah, I had no clue. Like,
we were thoroughly impressed with your.
That's typically my like wild card. I'm like, oh yeah, well, have you ever heard of And
well, actually, why don't you try to see if do you have a wild card to give me?
Ooh,
go deep, Mr. Terry.
I don't know, man. The Tourniquet was. Tourniquet's relatively well known. I even threw Sacrament out, and you knew who that was. I was like, damn it. No,
man. If he knows Captain Beefheart, I'm done.
Right.
No, I've never heard of Captain Beefheart, but I'll guarantee you they're not metal.
Oh no.
That's
There's
Zappa.
no way a band called Captain Beefheart can be metal.
Something that I tell everybody that comes on our show and is kind enough to talk to us. We have a very open door policy on people returning, and I think maybe next time we should have a trivia off.
With me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that'd be a lot of fun. I mean, all in good.
Like Stump the Trunk?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Okay.
And then whoever wins gets to take over the podcast.
I better start studying then.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm going to be the owner of a new podcast.
Right? Oh shit. Shots fired.
So Dan, do we want to schedule that for June or July?
Oh shit, I don't know. I'll get back to you
No,
on that.
do you have a wild card band that you think?
I'm trying to think of something really obscure.
Oh, what, that he wouldn't know?
Yeah.
Chlorofield.
I definitely have not heard of that.
Yeah, Jeff's our guy. Jeff listens to some really obscure shit. I'm just thinking of something really
all right,
old.
Jeff, I need you to go into your other side of the world, your Swedish.
Yeah,
No, that was Switzerland again.
Yeah.
I did it again.
So I don't know much about the European side of stuff outside of like Entombed,
I can go Australia.
like Dismember and stuff like that. I don't know much about the European side of stuff.
Yeah, that's more of my.
Well, here I have a wild card, Mesro.
I've never heard of Mesro.
Okay, they're from Europe. They're like a junior Testament.
What about Soul Embraced?
Soul Embrace, I've heard of the name. I've not heard the music, but I definitely have heard that name.
They're a side project of Living Sacrifice.
Oh, okay.
And they're really good too, actually. If you liked the old death metal Living Sacrifice stuff, it's kind of in the same vein, which is pretty cool.
Oh, okay.
With way better vocals.
All right, how about some Brazilian power metal, Hybria?
No, but I know Angra.
There you go.
How about Sarcophago?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
That is the Sarcophagia. That is
Sarcophagia, yeah.
Yeah, that's quote unquote original singer of Sepultura.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Before Max took over.
Yeah,
when they were
kicked
still
him out of the
You
band and Max
guys
started
have thrown
singing.
some wild cards on me, so I definitely don't know
cool.
everything.
Well, all I know is that next time this is going to be really fun.
Yeah, this was a blast.
Yeah.
But let me see if I can throw another wild card. Mortal Sin.
I have heard of Mortal Sin, but I have not listened to.
Yeah, they're from Australia.
Okay.
How about Indestructible Noise Command?
Nope.
No.
He's kicking our ass, Jeff.
Yeah, he is.
How about Wrath?
Wrath?
Yeah.
Wrath I've heard of. How about Ni Oblivious Scarus?
Oh, shit.
I don't know. What the hell is that? Is that a Captain Beefheart side project?
No, that is a progressive metal band out of Australia. with the.
See, now you're talking. I don't know that, man. Come on.
All right, so the
Let me
rules
see if I can.
are going to be America only.
Soothsayer.
Soothsayer?
See, I've heard all these, not all of them, but I've heard some of these bands' names. But
Sacrifice.
Sacrifice. See, I might be thinking of a different Sacrifice because there was a Sacrifice in our town, but it's probably not the same band.
No, Sacrifice are from Canada.
Okay,
how about Razor?
What style does Razor play?
Thrash.
Thrash. Okay.
They're also from Canada.
Okay.
Oh, I'm killing you guys.
You are, dude. It's bad. It's
how
bad.
about Hellstar?
Hellstar, I've heard of.
Yeah, power metal band from Houston, I think.
What about Accent Star?
Who?
Accent Star.
Accent Star? No. How about Hexenhaus?
Accent Star is they're a power metal band, but damn it, I think they are from like Sweden. Shit.
Yeah,
You've heard of Fate's Warning, right? You've heard of Fate's Warning?
Oh yeah.
Okay, all right. Sanctuary?
Sanctuary. See, I feel like I know two bands called Sanctuary.
Yeah, I've heard of Sanctuary.
One plays progressive metal.
All right, how about since we're doing Canada, how about Threat Signal?
Yes, I've heard of
Threat Signal.
Okay.
Cool.
That's probably one of my favorite albums of this year. Is their new one? So
like I don't know much about the music, but I've definitely heard the band. Like I heard the name of the band, so like that they're pretty well known. They're kind of more hardcore still, right?
Yeah, they're actually they've kind of run the whole gamut, but yeah, they're more hardcore, a little bit of progressive, industrial.
Okay. This has been a great conversation, guys.
Yeah, it's been fun, man. It's we're.
I'm trying to think if I can throw another band at you.
Yeah, I'm totally screwed with this whole has to be a North America thing.
Okay, how about Sadistic Intent?
Nope.
Nope.
How about Possessed?
Yes, Possessed. Yeah, Seven Churches.
Okay, the band Sadistic Intent is Possessed. The dude from Possessed backing band now.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Okay.
Cool.
Let me see. Let me see.
I'm probably walking the line
band.
of Thrash, but I'm going to say Symphony X.
Oh yeah, they're from Jersey.
Isn't that the dude that was in Adrenaline Mob or whatever?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Russ, right? Russ.
I don't remember that.
All I know is I met him in New York. That dude's really tall.
Yeah.
Does it have to be Thrash?
I think he sings with TSO too.
Oh, does he really?
Yeah, I think so. Let me see. Oh God, this is great. You can't throw at me any European stuff. I never really followed that stuff.
So Jeff's
gotta be
out.
American.
Yeah, I'm out.
Have you ever heard? Now this isn't Thrash, but have you ever heard of a band called The Fifth Element?
No, I heard the movie though.
Right. Yeah. The band that was kind of a dick thing because they weren't like a band that had nationally recognized releases. They were just they were a local St. Louis band, and like I have their record, but I don't think anybody else does.
Wow.
But they played more like new
You've been
metal.
from St. Louis the whole time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, since basically since birth.
I think I'm the only one in the group that's moved around a lot.
Trying to think what other like audible I can throw at you. It's been so many. There's been so many thrash bands over the years, man. Like,
what about Seventh Angel?
Seventh Angel?
Mm-hmm.
I know a Fifth Angel.
Seventh Angel was another Christian thrash band. They were.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
No, I've heard of them. Yes, okay.
9 out of 10 times, it's always going to be a Christian band with me because I was so into it for so long.
So you know Bloodgood and Barren Cross.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, all the.
See, those bands. I mean, I never, like I said, outside of Believer and Living Sacrifice, I thought they were the two. Like I don't know much of Tourniquet, but I guess they were really big in that scene.
Tourniquet doesn't sound like any other thrash band, and that's why they are always kind of like people that are really into Tourniquet. We all have this like weird glow in our eyes about the band because a lot of the other Christian metal bands, like, don't get me wrong, Believer was unique.
Yeah.
But Living Sacrifice's first album, you could very easily say, well, this is just the Christian version of Slayer. It was really good, but you could make that argument. And
when I first heard Believer, though, a Creator came to mind.
They did. Their early stuff sounds a little bit like Creator, but I thought it was far more technical.
But when Sanity Obscure came out, they threw in all the violins and just started bringing all the orchestras type stuff. Then they really like expanded their sound. They definitely they broke away from the pack.
Yeah,
I think they were on. And I really enjoy their newer stuff. Even though a lot of the newer fans, the old fans probably not really digging it, but
yeah. Well, with Tourniquet,
they were betrayed, man.
Right. Well, with Tourniquet, they didn't sound like anybody. They were a completely original thing. I think the first record had these weird, like King Diamond type falsetto vocals, but it was still thrash. And then they moved kind of away from that. Their second record, Psychosurgery, is one of the best thrash metal records ever, if you ignore the weird rap metal song that's in the middle of it. But
you know what, I'm gonna have to dig deep and try to check that out.
Yeah, that's some good stuff. If you got Apple Music, I'm pretty sure you can pull it up on there.
Yeah, it's probably there. None of the early Believer stuff, unfortunately, is not.
I know that makes me so mad. I got to get my tapes out and listen to them.
I think the Dimensions record is on there because that one was on Roadrunner.
Yeah, Dimensions is on there.
Yeah. Which is a great record too. So sad. And I think that's a band that should have gone bigger, but they never did.
Absolutely, yeah, I completely agree because they were just so they were unique, and I thought that they were doing some they were kind of really pushing the music forward without going death metal, which is what a lot of bands did at that time.
Yeah, totally. Well, guys, this has been an incredible talk, man. I can't wait to do this again, do this trivia thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be a ton of fun. We'll
play Heavy Metal Alphabet.
There you go. Heavy Metal Jeopardy.
Metal Alphabet. Okay.
That sounds good.
We're supposed to mention the metal band and from that letter?
We go A to Z and around the circle until everybody's out.
Sounds good, man. Just let me know.
Yeah,
awesome.
We appreciate it very much.
Thanks so much,
appreciate it, man.
Thanks,
Thank
buddy.
you.
You guys take care.
Yep, you
All
too.
right.
Thanks.
Later, man.
Bye.
This has been episode 45 of Discography Discussion. Thank you for listening. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at discussmetal. Subscribe to our podcast everywhere you listen to podcasts, including Google Play, iTunes, and Stitcher. Visit discussmetal.com for all things discography discussion, and please send questions and comments to danandjoeshow@gmail.com. If you are not a patron, you can become one at patreon.com/discussmetal. We have some sweet perks. Thank you, Robb Rivera, for hanging out with us and talking about thrash metal. You can find Rob and all the guys in Nonpoint at nonpoint.com and all over social media. We had a blast. We'll talk to you soon. And Heavy Metal Alphabet incoming.